I don't know what part don't make sense.
Greetings on my morning walk to the duck pond with the black swans and the geese with Shiva here. And really, before I make the review of Mitch Horowitz's book, Practical Magick, just was inspired in the moment to thank him for, he's a big name, and he didn't have to go to this tiny channel with, 200-300 subscribers. He did, and there was some pointed questions, some hard-hitting questions. I challenged him, and he more than rose to the occasion with courage and bravery, and he certainly didn't help his career in some sense, it's the first time I've heard maybe he said it in other places, but he made a vow to Satan. So if he was in a crisis, that is the power he would go to, he would pray to in a way, however you want to say it. Now that sounds shocking, and you've got to go through all the garbage of you worship the devil or blah, blah, blah. Obviously, his form of Satan is a Nietzschean creative force, opposition, adversary to stagnation and hierarchical norms, breaking down structures to create a chaos, and out of that chaos build something new. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I'm pretty sure that's sort of he's taking Satan as that form, and he likes to take terms that are unpopular, seen as out of date or corny, and bring new life to them. I'm not saying Satan is totally like that, but using the term Satan itself is part of his creative undermining process as an artist, I would say. So if you say I took a vow to Satan, who's going to listen for 5 minutes as you give a lecture on Nietzsche and 1800s poetry? So I acknowledge his bravery and balls to do that, and I thank him for coming onto my little channel and helping it grow and giving it some clout. Let's be real. On a personal level, before we get to the review of his book, yes, I am. As he says, I make a vow to Satan. I've made a vow to Christ. Now, do you have 5 minutes to listen to my interpretation? Because, like saying you took a vow to Satan, saying you follow Jesus is, just saying it for me is difficult in some ways, because people make so many assumptions, especially in the left-hand path community. Oh, here's a Christian, and automatically they're going to think of probably like Baptist, fire and brimstone, strychnine drinking, snake handling, speaking in tongues people. And to each their own, but there's a deep philosophical, intellectual, even postmodern side of Christianity. And look at the works of Magick, Christian atheism. Look at the works of Dr. Jack Caputo and Simone Weil, or Weil, Weil, and Christian mystics. So when you've got a religion 2,000 years old with roots going back millennia further in Judaism, there are many angles. So yes, that conversation with Mitch, his bravery inspired me. So if you're at a point where you've got to face the darkness. I call it the void. Lacan might call it the real. That existential darkness read Practical Magick. Read the names I mentioned as well. See where you land. Think, be active. But Mitch, at some point in his life, took a stand. And for years, I've been waffling, DIY, this or that. And yeah, so thank you, Mitch, for the original interview, being so brave in how you answered. And that inspired me. And I know there's someone out there it's also going to help. And I hope that I can help inspire someone to stand and make their vow and just say, you know what, I'm going all in. Now maybe it's occultism, maybe it's Buddhism, maybe it's magic, maybe it's a form of atheism. I'd rather have someone stand up for something and take on the fire and the criticism. Because no matter what you pick, people are going to attack you. People are going to undermine you. And having that vow and really standing up for what you believe in is going to unleash your potential. I really believe that. And align you with maybe your life purpose. So all that aside, thank you, Mitch, and here's your review. In Impractical Christian Reviews, Practical Magick by Mitch Horowitz. Reading Practical Magick from where I now stand, as someone whose faith is shaped by Christian mysticism, radical death theology, and a deep suspicion of control, I found myself both admiring the clarity of Mitch Horowitz's work and wrestling with its underlying premise. This is a book written by someone who takes magic seriously, not a fantasy or cosplay, but as a disciplined engagement with invisible forces through will, ritual, and focused attention. That sincerity deserves respect. But my relationship to spiritual power has changed. I no longer see magic as a neutral tool, but as a crossroads. For me, the spiritual life isn't about harnessing energy or bending the world to match my desire. It's about relinquishing control and aligning with something higher, something unknowable. It's the difference between trying to move a sailboat by blowing into the sail yourself or adjusting the sail to catch the wind. Magic at its core seeks to command. The path I now walk seeks to surrender. In a conversation I had with Nicholas Schreck, we talked about how real magic often has a twist. That same warning runs deep in mythology. Be careful what you wish for. You might just get it. Ask for $1 million and your favorite uncle dies. The outcome arrives, but the cost. When will is detached from love, it tends to fold back on itself. Magic can work, but it often does so like a trick mirror, giving you what you asked for in the shape you most fear. Still, if you're drawn to magic, I don't discourage it. I say, go all in. Experience it. Let it show you what it really is. Mitch Horowitz provides an ideal guide for that exploration. Practical Magick is stripped of esoteric jargon, unnecessary theatricality, and gatekeeping. Instead, it offers clear, modern techniques that are accessible to anyone ready to act. Whether you're new to magic or returning to it with fresh eyes, this book meets you where you are. Horowitz outlines core practices such as sigil work, condensing intention into a charged symbol, sex transmutation, redirecting sexual energy into creation and achievement, tarot, not for fortune telling, but for active self-reflection, spontaneous deity petition, direct, unstructured communication with the divine, the power of silence, using intentional stillness as a spiritual tool, backwards causation, reframing time where present acts reshape the past, magical or total environments, crafting physical spaces that mirror inner work. One of the most intriguing chapters is on spontaneous deity petition, where Horowitz steps beyond strict will-based magic and into something closer to prayer. He describes it as direct, unritualized dialogue with higher powers, unfiltered by system or ceremony. That moment of openness, humility, and even dependence shows that Horowitz, too, recognizes the limits of control and the mystery of grace. It's a glimpse into something deeper. For me, that deeper thing is love. Not sentimentality, but a force that breaks logic and resists domination. Love can't be conjured. It can only be received. And in that light, even the most powerful spells pale in comparison to a single act of genuine surrender. That's why I now see sacraments like communion not as mystical technologies, but as gestures of radical openness. Not tools to get power, but ways to give it up. If you're boldly stepping into the world of magic, Practical Magick is a modern classic. Clear, intelligent, and deeply challenging. I wholeheartedly recommend it, not just for its techniques, but for its historical insight and provocative ideas. Just know that sometimes we must master a path in order to let it go. And you may find, as I have, that aligning your sail to the wind gets you farther than waving a wand at the waves. Thank you.